Thank you for joining us today for the Conform to Christ podcast, where we seek to engage the mind, affect the heart, and call people to follow Christ. I'm Jay Jones, and I'm here with George Mays. Text-driven Tuesday time. How's it going?
It's going well.
Good.
No complaints.
You finished up your preaching cycle, your last section there in Genesis. So grab your Bibles, go to Genesis chapter 12. We're looking at verses 10 through chapter 13, 1 through 4. Kind of a weird story. I don't know, weird. Realistic. Let's call this one of the most realistic stories in the Bible. I mean, they're all realistic. They're all realistic because they're all real.
Mm-hmm.
But this type of story here can really reorient how you read the Bible.
Yeah.
You talked first about seismic shifts in your theology, like how you came to these different understandings, right?
Mm-hmm.
From your eschatology, which I like that story because you said
you like that story.
you were confidently telling your wife about the locusts in Revelation and how they were actually Apache helicopters.
She wanted me to mention that I actually had her draw it when we were doing it.
Oh, you know what?
I was a very convinced, pretty classic dispensationalist. And then my wife asked me, "Where are you getting this?"
Where are you getting
and
that?
it just
It
just rocked me. It absolutely rocked me. I was like, I was not overly patient with her when she was asking me that. It's like, what are you talking about? It's right here.
What are you talking about? Of course this is Apaches.
Yeah, of course it's Apache helicopters. Yeah, she set me straight.
Challenged you. You had a cultural shift. But now, but now the Apaches, they just won't work because we're entering a new era of warfare where helicopters are going to be phased out completely.
Really?
I think that's the future within the next 10 years, they don't even use Apache helicopters anymore. It'll all be drones.
Will that be the downfall of dispensationalism? Is
that
what you're telling me? It's gonna just knock the that central pillar
back to the drawing boards. Apaches no longer exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a good.
That's one of the problems. I mean, that's one of the problems with dispensationalism. We could chase that rabbit, but they have to constantly be updating.
But I thought it was LGH for life.
Yeah.
Literal grammatical,
historical. Yeah.
That would be an example I would think of a violation of that.
Yeah.
Reading in Apache helicopters, but that's beside
yeah.
It
was a big shift. I don't think if she hadn't challenged me on that, I don't think I'd be here today. It was so massive. So.
Yeah, and so you've had a couple of these seismic shifts,
Yeah, you probably experienced this when you first heard John MacArthur, and he was just going through books of the Bible verse by verse. It's like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, is that even legal? Yeah, that was a monumental shift.
Another one though, which led into this sermon was it your biblical theology professor? Was it him, or was your Old Testament guy that told you, like, hey, you're reading the Old Testament wrong?
It was my preaching professor.
Yeah. So
David Prince,
and he said,
"Stop identifying with the good guys in the story.
Yeah,
identify with the bad guys."
That's good.
Like, who's doing the wrong things?
Yeah.
Because we all over the place. I mean, we if you were raised in just an evangelical church, you probably were told at some point to, be like David,
right?
Go and slay your giants. Be like Daniel. Be like these guys, because you are.
Yeah.
You are like David. You can go and do this. And what that does is it creates just a bunch of morality tales for the Bible. Like, it's just filled with all these heroes who don't do anything wrong. And that is not going to be helpful for you when you're reading your Bible.
Right.
You're going to because you're going to fail. And what do you do? What do you do when you're trying to be David and you miss?
Yeah.
You know, and there's Goliath. He's still there.
Yeah. Imagine you're a Word of Faith guy, hardcore, and Shaq enters the league. And he just keeps breaking backboards on your head.
Uh-huh.
And he's no slaying that giant.
Right. Yeah. But it just doesn't make sense of stories like this.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be the good guy, what do you do when the good guy is the bad guy in the story?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens with Abram, is that he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it should shock us because he's just been given all these monumental promises and blessings, and now he does some really knuckleheaded stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was really a big light bulb, like eureka moment when my preaching professor was like, "This is how you preach the Old Testament, not as just a bunch of morality tales where you're supposed to identify with the hero, but a collection of historical stories that are meant to highlight God."
Mm-hmm.
Like, God is the hero,
Mm-hmm.
and God is the hero of this story. Abram's not.
Yeah. All right. So today we're gonna jump into this, and your outline is 3 realities of the Christian pilgrimage. 3 realities of the Christian pilgrimage, and we're gonna look at Abram not as the good guy, but as the bad guy.
Yeah.
What was Dale Ralph Davis? He titled this chapter something like "The Gospel for Dummies."
No, that was me. That was yours? That's my title. His is God keeps hold of losers or something like that. Yeah, that was the
Nice.
That was Dale Ralph Davis. If you don't know who Dale Ralph Davis is, he is an excellent Old Testament commentator and preacher. He does a really good job of bringing the stories to life and doing this, like bringing out the heart of what we're supposed to see in these stories. Yeah, he does a really good job.
We could write a new verse to Abram's song. Father Abram had many sons, but Father Abraham almost had none. Right? Because he was a dummy.
He was a dummy.
It doesn't rhyme, but you guys can make it work. Someone can write one.
I asked Julia. I was like, Julia, should I call Abram a dummy from the pulpit? Like, I don't want to come across disrespectful, because here's the father of our faith, and he has more faith than I've ever had. But he's acting foolishly. But I didn't feel like that was going to hit as hard. I didn't feel like that would get everyone's attention, like saying, here he's a dummy. Like, he does dumb stuff here. So hopefully it didn't come across as disrespectful, because Abraham is, he is the model of our faith.
Right.
And he believed God in some very major ways that none of us have ever experienced.
Maybe if you spin it like this: everyone who proceeds from Adam and is in Adam by virtue of just being a human being is a dummy.
Is a dummy, yeah. We all are dummies.
God only saves dummies.
That's right. Yeah. Dale Ralph Davis called him a loser. So
how can you be a loser when your wife is like nearly 100 and so apparently so hot still?
Yeah, that's right.
That people might kill you. Maybe not a loser.
There's I mentioned this, but at a previous church there was a guy there who was trying to spin this as Abram was actually not sinning here. Like, he was believing the promises, and he believed that God, like, it was almost like he was a partner with God. Like, I know what God's promised. I believe them, and I think he does. I think he does believe the promises, but he was trying to spin it so that it was not bad what Abram did.
Right.
But I think that loses the heart of the story. I think that misses the mark. The mark is Abram is, if he has to fulfill the promises, he's going to fail. God's the hero, and God's the one who will fulfill all the promises.
He's kind of like a modern pastor. He's just a good pragmatist, right? He believes the promises,
Uh-huh.
but thinks Jesus needs a little help,
Right.
like growing his church.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
he
I mean,
come-
I could have just as easily have called this sermon Abram the pragmatist.
right.
But being a pragmatist is dumb when it comes to the promises of God.
Yeah.
That's a dumb way to operate.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's have you read it, and then we'll jump in.
All right.
Because we're on a timetable today. We got construction about to take place around here,
Yeah.
or
Deconstruction.
deconstruction,
Hey,
as they saw.
let's be careful.
As they
Let's
saw
be
our
careful
floor.
around here. We're not a church that's in the deconstruction,
Yeah.
Jay.
So,
All right.
all right. Well, let's have you read it, and we'll jump in.
Okay, this is Genesis chapter 12, beginning in verse 10, and we're going to ignore the chapter break and go into chapter 13, verse 4. Now there was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai, his wife, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance, and when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Then they will kill me, but they will let you live. Say you are my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that my life may be spared for your sake. When Abram entered Egypt, the Egyptians saw that the woman was very beautiful. And when the princes of Pharaoh saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And for her sake he dealt well with Abram. And he had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male servants, female donkeys, and camels. But Yahweh afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say, she is my sister, so that I took her for my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go. And Pharaoh gave men orders concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. So Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the Negev. Now Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And he journeyed on from the Negev as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first. And there Abram called upon the name of Yahweh.
All right. All right. 3 realities of the Christian pilgrimage. And I like the way you are wording your outline, because it gives it an immediate relevance to our lives, so that we aren't reading these stories, like these stories that happen as we see. Paul says they're written for our sake, right? We can learn from them, and we can see how that we're prone to doing the same things in our life. And as a Christian life is a pilgrimage, it is like a journey, like Abraham's journey of faith. We experience the same things in different ways, maybe, but they're still the same things. So let's jump in. 3 realities of the Christian pilgrimage. Number 1, our unbelief endangers the blessings.
There it is.
Our unbelief endangers the blessings. I think that's pretty. Should be obvious as you read that. God's made these promises, and to him and to his wife, they're going to have this offspring that's going to come from them. It's going to be in line with God's promises already made through Genesis, and he's putting it in danger.
Yes,
the person that's supposed to bear him this offspring,
right?
He's now put her in a position where, maybe it can't happen now, right? So walk us through. But there's more to it than that. But start us at the beginning. Hey, there's famine in the land.
Yeah, we're not given an exact time reference here, so we don't know how long between verses 9 and 10 this occurs. It could be years, could be months. But Moses presents it as if it's occurring immediately, and I think that we're supposed to kind of feel that because God has just given these massive promises that we looked at last week to Abram, that he's going to be a great nation, he's going to have a great name, he's going to be blessed, God's going to bless those who bless him and curse those who curse him. In Abram, all the nations of the earth are going to be blessed, and then he comes into the land. He traverses it from north to south. He's setting up these altars to Yahweh. He's calling upon the name of Yahweh. He's establishing Yahweh worship in this pagan land. And then almost immediately there's a famine, and we're told twice. That's how bad we're supposed to see it. There was a famine in the land. Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was severe in the land, and which is a common. This is a common threat that's going to pop up with each of the patriarchs. So Isaac's going to experience a famine. Jacob experiences a famine. But we're supposed to feel this tension because who brought the famine?
Mm. It is interesting that this pattern repeats. And not only that, it repeats in another essential story, right?
Yeah.
That begins that there is famine in the land. And so a man takes his whole family out of the land to Moab.
Oh, yeah.
And you're to ask the question, but where'd the famine come from?
Right.
Like God's driving history through. Like it just shows that he is sovereign over everything that's taking place.
Yeah. But there's this tension. God has promised the land to Abram, and now, as Del Ralph Davis says, the land is a promise, but the land is also a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what's he supposed to do?
Only he can turn the little phrase
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like the Old Testament Jedi.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah. It's got all these snappy turns of phrase.
And aren't you kind of surprised, like in the celebrity Christian circuit world, no one knows who Del Ralph Davis is?
Del Ralph Davis
It's probably like the best Old Testament expositor I've ever seen or read.
Yeah. His Judges commentary it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's really good. But there's a famine, and Abram he's dropped into this. I mean, he's in the land, and here's God's promises, and where's the rain? And are we going to have enough to eat? And so Abram is confronted with things that we're confronted with too. Like God's promised good to us. Why are things not good for us? Like why does it not look that way? And so we're caught in this tension in this world, and we have to ask the question, how are we going to respond? Well, Abram, he leaves the land and goes into Egypt. And there's kind of an ominous shadow over this, because God at the beginning of chapter 12 said, go into the land. There's no hint that Abram's receiving any kind of divine direction here when he leaves the land.
It's being pragmatic.
It seems that way. Yeah. It seems that he is responding to the situation with his own wisdom. Right. With his own ideas. Well, we can't stay here. So Egypt looks promising because I guess there's not a famine there, and you got the Nile River, and it's lush, right? Yeah. So he leaves. Yeah. Takes Sarai and all their stuff, and he goes into Egypt. Yeah. But the famine's not just the problem. When they get to Egypt, there's a problem because Sarai apparently is very beautiful. Yeah. There's kind of a funny thing here. He says, I know you're beautiful. And then when Pharaoh's servants see her, it says they saw that she was very beautiful. So it's like he's underestimating her beauty.
Imagine if the whole idea started and he was trying to give like a lame compliment.
Yeah.
And it just spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
If he's like, look,
he's trying to really sweeten her up.
Yeah, we're going to a place, but you're so beautiful, people might kill me.
Yeah.
So, and but then it just got away from him.
Yeah. Yeah, so he goes down to Egypt. He's going into a new land. He's never been here before. It's pagan people. They're known for their paganism and their violence. Yeah. So he looks at his wife and he says, "I know that you're beautiful." She's around 65 at this time, which I didn't want to really go into in the sermon because I knew I was just gonna. There's landmines all around me, Jay.
Well, if you want to know what this looks like, just check back with my wife in about 20 years. Yeah, and then you'll know the reality.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at this, I mean, that's good. I hope that you get some good points from that, Jay. It's good. Very subtle. But I mean, Sarai is almost 120 when she dies. So she's still got a lot. I mean, she's still young. Mm-hmm. And then probably the longevity that God gives to the patriarchs. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about Moses. He dies at 120 and he's not lost any of his strength. Right? So God's blessing them. Mm-hmm. he's afraid that when he goes in, the Egyptians are going to see how beautiful she is, and they're going to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a plan, Jake.
He does.
He's got a plan. Say you're my sister, and then it will go well with me because of you.
Yeah.
And they won't kill me. My life will be spared for your sake. And this is Abram's he's probably patting himself on the back for this. He's probably like, this is it.
Mm.
This is a solid plan, because we'll find out in chapter 20 that they are brother and sister. They're half siblings. They have the same dad but different mothers.
Mm.
Which I didn't go into that either.
Well, you'll get an
Because that's
opportunity.
weird. Because it's
You'll get an
to
opportunity.
our ears that's weird. In the ancient Near East, that wasn't like that, and there's no prohibition against marrying close relatives during this time. That's that comes with the Mosaic law,
Right.
and the genetics are still relatively pure back then, so they're not having birth defects, things like that.
Right.
But it sounds weird to the modern ear. Like, you married your half sister.
Maybe not in some parts of this country.
Landmines all around, Jay.
Yeah.
But he probably thinks this is a good plan, and it's not a lie.
Yeah.
And so he's being pragmatic again. He's excusing his sin.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a total lie, but it's a whole lie. Right.
Yeah.
And this deception is going to become characteristic for his entire family. I mean, every story that has to deal with the patriarchs, they're going to be lying or deceiving someone. Abram's going to do this again in chapter 20. He's going to tell the same lie. Isaac is going to tell the same lie with his wife, and there it is, a whole lie. They're not brother and sister. Jacob is going, or Rachel and Jacob are going to deceive Isaac. Laban's going to deceive Jacob. Rebecca is going, or Rachel's going to, she's going to deceive Laban. Simeon and Levi are going to deceive the men of Shechem. Jacob's sons lie to Jacob about Joseph, like on and on and on. There's just this character trait for this family. They're just a bunch of liars.
I got more jokes. I'm going to hold them.
Do you have more jokes? Okay. And here's where the temptation lies. We want to view this as just a morality tale about lying. Right? Don't lie. Abram's lying, and that's bad. Like, you shouldn't lie. But that's not the problem. The lying is just a symptom of something that's deeper. And the problem is that Abram is not believing the promises of God. Because God has already told him, I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. I would imagine that trying to murder Abram is going to fall under the curse side. Right? So he's, rather than believing that God will do what he says, Abram believes that he has to do something. He has to play some part in order for these blessings to be fulfilled. And that's a problem. He's being driven by his unbelief and fear, and his fear is leading him to do maybe things that we could understand. Like, we can understand fear. We could understand, like, going into this land and being fearful that something bad's going to happen to you. But we can't excuse it. It's an inexcusable act for him to do this, because he is putting his wife in a dangerous position. I was thinking about Adam and Eve and how Adam failed to be a protector for his wife in the garden in Genesis 3. When the serpent comes to her, we find out, like, kind of the kicker at the end of the story is she gave it to her husband who was with her. That when the serpent is talking to Eve, Adam is in the vicinity. And instead of protecting his wife from the serpent, it's almost as if he's like letting her go first to see, like, is she going to drop dead? And Abram's not protecting his wife. He's kind of pushing her as like a human shield in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty heinous. It's pretty heinous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But fear will drive you to do some pretty bad things.
Right.
I mean, fear leads to more fear. I mean, if you feed fear, it's just going to keep growing and growing, and it's going to become irrational. Fear can lead to all kinds of anxiety, depression. Fear can also lead to anger. If you're an angry person, it could be because you have a lot of fear, and you're afraid of losing something, and so you're trying to keep it from happening. You're trying to control the situation, and that can lead to anger.
Mm-hmm.
There's just all kinds of things that can spiral off of fear, and what Abram's doing here is just being led by his fear that is, it's undergirded by unbelief.
Mm-hmm.
He's not believing that God will actually do what he said he would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
all right.
And he probably thinks, if we want to give him the benefit of the doubt, we can say, if he's playing the role of brother, then anyone who wants to marry Sarai is going to have to negotiate with him. Right? Like the there's not a dating culture in the ancient Near East. Right. Like, your daughter is not going to go and just date whoever she wants. And neither is your sister. Like, if you're the patriarch, Sarai is going to fall under his authority. And so if someone wants to marry her, they have to go through the brother and negotiate like a bride price.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're thinking the best of Abram, he's probably going to try to play the stubborn brother and, hold off, try to stall for time, and then they're going to escape.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't have to say he's just like, take my wife, please. Right? Like, he's not just wanting to get rid of her. But he probably was not, again, he's underestimating her beauty. Right. So he probably wasn't thinking Pharaoh's going to want to to take her. And when Pharaoh wants a bride, a wife, to bring someone into his harem, he doesn't have to negotiate. Like, he just points,
right,
go get her for me.
Right.
And Abram, for all of his scheming, all of his supposed wisdom, all of, like, this is going to work. The bottom just drops out immediately because he can't fight Pharaoh.
Mm.
He can't defend his wife. And so Pharaoh takes her. There's kind of an allusion to Genesis 6 with the sons of God seeing the daughters of men and taking whichever ones they please, that they see that they're attractive, and take whichever ones they please. Pharaoh is acting that way. Mm-hmm. He's taking from Abram his wife. And in one fell swoop, all the promises are in jeopardy, because Abram's not in the land anymore, and now he doesn't have his wife. And where's the promised offspring going to come from? And if we are left to ourselves, we'll endanger every blessing also, because no amount of works-based righteousness, no amount of scheming, no power is going to be able to. There's always going to be something that is outside of our control,
right? And
we're not going to be able to accomplish this.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, now the second point. That's true what you just said, but that's important, right? Important, not just in the New Testament, you said, but God's faithfulness ensures every promise.
Yeah.
God can't go back on his promises. What he promises, he'll bring into reality. Mm-hmm. And so verse 17 starts, but the Lord. So now God is going to act to ensure his promises can be fulfilled.
Yeah, but Yahweh, but God.
Yeah.
He afflicts Pharaoh and his house with great plagues.
Yeah.
We don't know what these plagues are. But we do see that even though Pharaoh has been been duped. He's believed that Sarai's is Abram's sister. Even though he's been duped, he's still being held responsible for his actions.
Right.
Like, you can't just say, "Well, I didn't know."
Right.
He shouldn't have a harem, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's already got wives. He shouldn't have a harem. He shouldn't be taking another wife.
Uh-huh.
So he's already guilty of sin. But now God is plaguing him. We don't know how he discovers that it's because of Sarai. We're kind of left with some mystery. One of our members came up to me after the service and was like, "My guess is that Pharaoh's not dumb. He's not stupid. It says that Yahweh afflicts Pharaoh and his house with great plagues." So he's looking around and he's like, what's going on? What's different?
What has changed?
What has changed?
Yeah.
What is new that would do this?
Yeah.
And so he comes to the understanding that it's because of Sarai, and she's actually Abram's wife,
Right.
and that Yahweh is Abram's God is afflicting me because of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not being a great blessing to the nations
No.
at this point. At this point,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
If you remember back in verses 2 and 3, it's a command: be a blessing, and he's not being a blessing here. He's bringing a plague on Pharaoh.
Yeah.
But Pharaoh, he calls Abram, and he says, "What is this you've done to me? Why didn't you tell me she's your wife? Why did you say she's my sister? So I took her for my wife. Now then, here's your wife. Take her and go." Over and over and over again, he says, "Your wife, your wife, your wife," and he is accusing Abram of wrongdoing. And it's ironic because you've got pagan Pharaoh, who does whatever he wants. He's more concerned with morality here than Abram is.
Mm.
Like, Abram,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What are you doing, brother?
Yeah.
You are being shamed. You're being like, you're not bearing good witness
Mhm.
to Yahweh here. The leader of Egypt is shaming you for your lack of morality.
Right.
Like, this is not a good testimony to Yahweh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine Abram could have been a good example of like believing in the power of Yahweh here, and he's not.
Yeah.
But and he excuses his lying, but Pharaoh gives Sarah back, which should be pretty shocking for us there. Like, Pharaoh could have just killed Abram.
Yeah, maybe he's got a fear, though. Fear of the Lord, who can bring a plague in an instant.
Yeah, which is again, this is ironic.
Yeah.
It's not a good look for Abram.
Right.
That Pharaoh is believing more than Abram is.
Right. We aren't privy to the conversations. I imagine it was something like, "Hey, since you showed up, these bad things are happening."
Right.
Maybe she's like, "Yeah, because the one true God is plaguing you because the promise for the whole world's coming through me."
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't
But
know.
he got something out of it.
He got the message.
He got the
message.
message.
He knows that this is happening because of Abram and Sarai, and so he gives his wife back to him. But then he expels them from Egypt.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go.
And he takes out great wealth and possessions, and their parallels, as you're reading your Bible, you've got to pick up because they're so explicit, especially here.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you pointed out that this is an Exodus-like rescue, like pre-Exodus, but this is like precursor, but same type of rescue, plagues, them coming out of Egypt with wealth.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels. John Selhamer, in his commentary on Genesis, has a big table with parallels that start all the way back with Jacob going down into Egypt. Why does he go down to Egypt? Because there's a famine in the land. They go down. While they're there, Sarai she's basically enslaved. I mean, you go into a harem and you're a captive. So she's enslaved. God plagues Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh lets Sarai go, and Abram and Sarai leave Egypt with they plunder the Egyptians with they have all this wealth. Even the same wording is used when he tells Abram, take her and go. It's found in Exodus 12 when Pharaoh says, take your stuff and go. Like, get out.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to see the parallels. Moses is framing this in such a way that we're supposed to see it. Abram is delivered through an Exodus-like salvation. Israel has been delivered through an Exodus. And that should give Israel hope that in her weaknesses, God is still going to be faithful. He's still going to bring in the promises. This should have given them strength for going into the promised land. You're going in and there's giants, but God has said that he's going to bless you. And so trust him. Go in and believe. Yeah. But this is meant not just for Israel, it's meant for us because God has he has brought about the ultimate, the greater exodus. We were enslaved to sin and death and the devil, and Christ has come as the greater Passover lamb, and we've been redeemed. So, and it wasn't in our own strength. Like, we didn't do anything. And if it was left to us, our sin would lead us to hell forever. But God is faithful, and he sent Christ, who has sacrificed himself. I should have brought this out a little bit more in stronger language. The fact that Abram is willing to lose his wife to Pharaoh in order to save his life. But Christ is willing to die for his bride.
Yeah.
And whereas through Abram plagues were falling on Egypt, Christ suffered the plagues on himself to redeem us.
Yeah.
And so we see that Abram's the bad guy.
And in the prophets, Egypt, it's scandalous. Egypt is redeemed and called part of the people of God.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Explicitly by name.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so Abram's not the hero here. God is. Abram's going to lose everything. If God lets him, he's going to lose all the blessings. But God's not going to. He's going to keep his promises because his glory, his name is bound up in this.
Right.
And if the promises don't come true for Abram and his offspring, then God will cease to be God.
I love that, and I put a square around it in my notes for me, for emphasis. If God, you said this, if God doesn't do what he said, he ceases to be God. You think about that when it comes to your own, people struggle with the assurance of their salvation all the time. Has God said and promised to you that if you trust in Christ, that he'll save you, give you eternal life, and you'll become heir of the world and all of Abraham's blessings?
Yeah.
Has God said that?
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't do it, he's not God.
Yep.
So you can trust in what he says. He must do it, or because he can't deny himself.
Yeah. His very nature is bound up in the promises that he's given to us.
Mm-hmm.
He has to fulfill them because that's who he is. He is a promise making, but he's a promise keeping God, and that should give us. That should kill all these fears that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you fight fear? You have to fight it with a greater fear. You have to be more afraid of something else. And the greatest fear-killing fear is fear of God. And if you'll fear God and keep his commandments, all these lesser fears will fade away. And if Abram had believed God and God's promises and lived in the fear of him rather than the fear of the Egyptians, then he would have walked with confidence. He wouldn't have had to fear all this. And it's the same with us. We don't have to fear the devil. We don't have to fear the world. We don't have to fear death. If death, sickness, loss of job, home, family member, Like, we don't have to fear this stuff because God will be faithful to his promises. He has to. His glory depends on it.
Very good. All right, let's move into the last point now. The last point, God's grace preserves the journey. So again, don't forget what we're looking at here. We're looking at three realities of the Christian pilgrimage by looking at Abram. Our unbelief endangers the blessing, but God acts. God is faithful, and God's faithfulness ensures every promise. Now, the last one, God's grace preserves the journey. And this is 13, 1 through 4. So the story actually is continuing, and you pointed out the chapter breaks. Again, those are put in after the fact so we can navigate our Bibles. So we want to just keep moving through into 1 through 4.
Yeah,
and,
it's...
I will say this, George. The construction people are about to be here, so you might have to ride this one out by yourself.
Okay.
But all
right.
We'll go as long as we can.
Okay,
and
all
then
right.
you might have to take over.
All right. Zach can scoot into your chair and continue. That's an oh no for both of us, brother. So Abram goes back into the promised land, and he's been kicked out. There's some shame here. He's been shamed by one of the most powerful men in the world. He's been basically deported. Who knows what the conversations are like between him and Sarai on the ride back. Lot is reintroduced into the story. He's going to play a big part coming up. We don't know what he's been doing. Where have you been this entire time? Could have used your help. So there's some shame, but there's not hopelessness. God still is going to keep his promises. Later in chapter 13, he's going to introduce the promises. I'm going to give this land to you. So there's hope there, but even more than that, for us, is that Abram hasn't made a shipwreck of his faith. Like, you can imagine after all of this, Abram could be like, I'm giving up. I'm going back to Ur. Or I'm going back to Haran. God can pick someone else because it's not me, right? So but he doesn't. He goes back. He goes back into the promised land, and he goes back to the place where he's already been, right? Jay has left the room. Sure, yeah. We're introducing our special guest. He's moving, so he won't be able to shift the camera back and forth, which probably is.
We don't need that
anymore.
anymore.
Welcome, Zach. You're filling in for Jay while he goes and deals with construction.
Hopefully, we'll not have to do this fire guard anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have to constantly be going through the building to make sure it's not on fire.
Every 15 minutes.
Every 15 minutes.
And it takes 15 minutes to pretty much walk the building.
Yeah.
Just one person. You're just walking.
Just constantly doing that. Yeah, yeah. Well, here we are. So Abram's back in the promised land. Going back to Bethel and Ai.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with your land of Canaan map?
Ish.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when Joshua comes through, these are lands that they're conquering.
Yeah. This is pretty important. This valley, it plays a pretty prominent role. But the most important thing for our sake in this story is that this is about halfway through the land of Canaan, and he's already been here, and so we're connecting this. The chapter break is understandable. Some of the commentators left off. We're switching back again. This is fun. Musical chairs. See, this is why we need to give Zach his own microphone so that he can.
Yeah, we really do.
So he can just sit there and keep talking. We were talking about Bethel and Ai.
Okay.
And its significance and what it means for Abram to go back here, because even though this I was talking about the fact that some of the commentaries, they do break off at the end of chapter 12.
Yeah.
And then they pick up with the next section with chapter 13. So it's I mean, this is one flowing story, so we're not supposed to. I mean, we're having to do that because we can't take chapters.
Yeah.
But the fact that he goes back into Bethel and Ai and in that area, it connects us back to verses 1 through 9. So we're seeing him go into the promised land, go into Egypt, and now he goes back into the promised land. And he goes back to a place that he's already been. It's mentioned for us twice. It says that he goes back to he goes where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's important for us. Moses is trying to emphasize this fact that he goes back to the place that he's been before. And what's there? There's an altar. He's built an altar there. What happens at an altar? Sacrifice. And so Dale Ralph Davis again says it's as if Abram is purposely going back to start all over again, as if his geography is an expression of his repentance.
Yeah, that was good.
So what we're seeing is it's not just Abram, just traveling around and he just, let's go see what's going on over here. He's going back to the place he's been before. He's going back to an altar that he's built at the first. When he first came into the land, he's going back there.
Yeah.
He's offering sacrifices because he's repentant.
Yeah.
I don't see how we can understand it any other way. I don't see how Moses would be presenting it as anything other than he recognizes that what he did in Egypt was foolish, and he comes back into the land and he repents. And it's like he's rededicating. I mean, we make fun of that some, but it's as if he's rededicating himself to God.
I think rededicating is fine. I think like thinking you're getting saved again is not fine.
Right.
But I think there are times in
and
your
rededicating
life,
yourself every summer at Falls Creek probably isn't
probably
super
not
helpful. But,
probably not helpful.
But this is repentance, and this is a daily thing for Christians. Christians are daily repenting. They're daily going back to their sacrifice, not a renewed sacrifice, but they're going back to the cross.
Right. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
And that's what Abram is doing. He's going back. And what we see through this entire journey is just God's grace being poured out on this sinner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's grace that called him out of paganism in Ur. It's grace that brought him into the land of Canaan in the first place. It's grace that sustained him in Egypt. Pharaoh could have killed Abram for deceiving him. He could have been like, you brought these plagues, you're a goner. But it's grace. It's grace that brings him back into Canaan. And when he comes back to this altar and makes sacrifices and worships, he finds grace.
Yeah.
And that is so encouraging
Yes.
for dummies like us.
Yeah.
Like we're following the footsteps of Abram, not just in his successes, but in his failures.
Yeah, and I think it is good, and you've pointed it out, I don't know if in this sermon, but it's called the man of faith, but that doesn't mean that, for the duration of his life, he always had this perfect faith.
Yeah.
It's obvious you can see that his faith is not perfect, and God's growing him in that, even him, Abraham, is being grown in his trust and his faith and persevering and messing up numerous times. But persevering in God's promises.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we're called to do also.
Yeah.
Like we believe in the perseverance of the saints, not like the ease and comfort as we float through life faith. we believe in the perseverance.
I mean, that's all over the Bible, and it's going to be here next week when we're going back into Romans next week. And, I'm going to zero in really mainly on one verse about our inheritance and us being heirs. But this promise of God, they're unreal.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna not even do the best I can to make people wonder at them.
Yeah.
But they're only yours if you suffer with Christ. Not meaning like you're like in this sense that, hey, there's sufferings that you just have to do to earn a salvation. No, you're in Christ. That means Christ is with you. So you're going to suffer. But if you suffer with Christ, that is hold on to your faith.
Yeah.
If you hold on to your faith through this world, its sufferings, you will become an heir of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Amazing.
good. And that's following Abram.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's following his life.
That's great. I thought they did a great job with this section.
Thanks.
Been really enjoying Genesis, this look at it. I hope you guys are benefiting from it. Y'all that are listening as much as I am, sitting there in the front row, scratching my little notes, watching my children scratch their little notes. I hope you guys are benefiting from it as well. I trust that you are. Well, if you are, please give us a like, subscribe, and share. It sounds kind of lame and corny, but that's how you say it. Give us a like, subscribe, share. We do this mainly for our church, but other people out there, you guys are benefiting too. Sometimes you write us comments, and we appreciate those. Those are encouraging. So come back next week. If this is beneficial to you and your faith, and it's helping you to become more conformed to Christ, that's the goal. Come on back next week. We'll be back in Romans. See you then. Bye-bye.